Good evening and a very warm welcome to Sports Buzz DD India's special bulletin on national and international sporting updates with me, Deepika. Let's start with the top headlines. BCCI announces 18-member squad for upcoming 3-match ODI series against England. 3 new faces, Suryakumar Yadav, Krunal Pandya and Prasidh Krishna to make their ODI debut. India levels at 2-2 versus England in the ongoing T20 series in Ahmedabad, beats England by 8 wickets in the 4th T20I. Suryakumar Yadav hits sparkling 57 of 31 balls in his first international innings. PV Sindhu moves into the quarterfinals of All England Championship with a straight game win over Denmark's Line Kristoffersen. Sindhu to face Akane Yamaguchi in the quarterfinal round. Achanta, Sharat Kamal, G. Satyan, Sutirth Mukherjee and Manika Batra qualifies for the Tokyo Olympics at the Asian Olympic Qualification Tournament in Doha. Champions League quarter-final draw will take place in Nyon, Switzerland later today. 3 teams from England in the last 8 of the competition, while Spain, once a dominant force, only has 1. BCCI announces the ODI squad on Friday morning. That is all set to begin from 23rd March in Pune. With a new strategy in place for the one-day international format, 3 new faces in the 18-member squad will be seen. More in this report.
With an inclusion of 3 new faces, Suryakumar, Krunal Pandya and Prasidh Krishna, India announces an 18-member squad for 3-match one-day international series against England on Friday. India's left-arm Yorker sensation T. Natarajan, who was a standout player for India on the tour of Australia recently, has also made the cut for ODI squad. Natarajan has passed his fitness test and joined the team during the 4th T20 International against England in Ahmedabad. Debutant Suryakumar has been included considering his magnificent half-century in the 4th T20 that India won by 8 wickets. And notably, this was also the first time Suryakumar batted for India. The ODI squad includes Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan, Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer, Suryakumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Rishabh Pant, KL Rahul, Yuzvendra Chahal, Kuldeep Yadav, Krunal Pandya, Washington Sundar, Natarajan, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna and Shardul Thakur. On the other hand, all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja has still not recovered from his finger injury and will be missing the series. Pacer Mohammad Shami's name is also missing from the squad list as he also hadn't recovered from his wrist injury that he suffered on the Australian tour in December last year. Sports Desk, DD India.
India sets up a series decider with an 8-run win over England in an absorbing force 2020 in Ahmedabad. Suryakumar Yadav hit a sparkling 57 of 31 balls in his first international innings as the host posted a challenging 185 on the best batting surface of the series. England struggled to get going but was still firmly in contention at 140 with a loss of 3 of 16 overs, only to lose Ben Stokes for 46 and Ian Morgan in consecutive balls. The first victory by the side batting first in the series means it is tied at 2-2 going into the final game at the same venue on Saturday. And let's discuss more on ODI with my colleague Anil Thomas, who's joining us. Anil, a very good evening and thank you so much for joining us. And the ODI list has been announced. My very first question to you is that 3 new faces are there in the squad. How is it going to improve the bench strength?
Well, it's clearly an opportunity here that the Indian management is looking at purely in terms of rotating and also giving the bench strength a bit of test. That's not all. Something that England did in that test series, where they rotated their winning combination after the first test match. You saw many of their players being given a rest. Something similar being tried. We paid a huge price in the T20 series trying that till we got our act together in the 4th game where we managed to again, shuffle the side around. But we managed to get the runs on the board as a result of which we managed to sneak home. and D level in this particular series. But I would surely think that, the Indian team management is looking at giving more and more players options here. Looking at the way ahead purely in terms of India hosting the T20 World Cup later in October. So clearly it's an opportunity even in the shorter format of the game. They're trying to try out more things. It's going to be a problem of plenty, especially in the batting department. And that's very much obvious there. You almost have 3 wicket keepers in the squad vying to play purely as batsmen there. And there is a plenty of openers there. But how does one get that combination right? That's going to be the big question. And I think the three players who've got a look into that one-day squad, it's all going to happen in Pune. I think, it's a great opportunity for these kids to, make it count. Because if they get their footing into that door, it could go a big way. Look at Surya Kumar Yadav. He was a part of that second T20 game, but couldn't get a chance. Made it count. The first ball 6 that he hit, clearly set the tempo there, especially for that Indian team. And I think, you got to grab the opportunity that comes your way and make it count. Because the competition is stiff. And if you can encash on the first opportunity that comes your way, you're going to laugh a long way, especially playing in that Indian colours.
Very true. When we talk about the opportunity which these 3 players have got in this ODI, and encashing the opportunity and showing the performance to the world is the another thing. But again, talking about the lineup and the selection process, Bumrah and Shami still cannot make it to the top list. So how is it going to affect the bowling combination for Team India?
Well, I would say, it's purely a rest being given. Bumrah is just has just got married. I think he requested for a break, and he's been a part of all 3 squads. Remember, there are many players who are a part of all 3 squads. So it's ominous pressure on them. It's ominous pressure on them to deliver at every given opportunity. And looking at the season ahead, you've got an IPL season that's going to come after this. You've got the T20 World Cup. I think more than not making it through the squad, I would say it's a break being given to the big names. They surely will walk into not only an Indian dressing room, but they will walk into any world dressing room 11, So it's not as if, they have been dropped. They have been rested and they have been given a break. And I think Bumrah will not only walk into the Indian dressing room, he will walk into the world dressing room in case there is a world squad that's been put together purely based on the performance that he puts and the nippiness that he brings, especially with his bowling. Too early to say that, it's been dropped, but clearly a welcome break being given to the guns who are very much sure of playing the T20 World Cup. Until unless an injury comes their way, they are almost certain and they always got their ticket of playing the T20 World Cup. So I would say, still players getting an opportunity here. An option that the team management is trying to get, maybe, an ace team, a B team there ready so that in case there is a problem, you don't need to look helter-skelter for the players that you are looking for. You just look at the players who got an opportunity in the last 6 months. And there is also an IPL that follows after this. So clearly the bench strength and the team management is very clear on the backup that they are looking at. And I think that's the opportunity that this one-day series, this small one-day series on one venue presents.
Right. And what do you think of the middle order lineup that is currently being put?
Well, the middle order seems to be a bit more packed. Now Surya Kumar Yadav being sent to the number 3 position there. Also Virat coming into number 4. There is a bit of length or a bit of depth being tried, especially in the batting order. Shreyas Iyer has been shuffled around in this particular series, but still if you purely look in terms of the middle order, 4, 5, 6. There is still a bit of churning that's happening. You're still not settled whether you want to go with Surya Kumar Yadav. There is an Ishan Kishan who's still doing well. There is a Rishabh Pant who's been doing good for long. So I think it's still not settled. That particular 4, 5, 6 is still not settled, and we'll still see some churning happening there. Even for that matter, Shreyas Iyer, that position that he came out to bat, he did come handy in the game yesterday, but it's a position that he does not enjoy because he likes to, bat further up. In the order, not only when he bats for Delhi as a captain, he comes further up the order. So it's not a position that he's comfortable with. So I think the middle order is still in a fluid state. We still cannot know who are the perfect names to fit that bill. Virat coming at number 4 does give a lot more length, a lot more depth to the batting that India looks at in T20. But, a different view could be, since he's the best batsman there in the world, he should be batting, further up the order, maybe at number 3. But I would still say, that particular middle order still looks very much fluid. The inclusion of Krunal Patel there into that one-day squad clearly is an indication that the management is still looking at Krunal Hardik Pandya combination, either of them could be making a cut for the T20 World Cup. It's still I think roughly around 5 months to go for the T20 World Cup. I would still say that purely in terms of positions, the positions are fluid, but I think the players almost know the number that they would be playing at. But still leave it open, especially for Ravi Shastri and Virat Kohli to decide on that middle order that seems to be in a bit of fluid condition at this point of time.
From the ongoing match, if we take up the current lineup and current learnings, what should be an ideal middle order lineup, as if you want to understand from a fan's point of view, what a fan would like to count in the names, in the considering the names in the middle order lineup, Anil?
Well, it's going to be a too tough call to make. On a given night, Ishan has been good. Ishan has been good on a given night. Then he's picked up an injury. Suryakumar Yadav, the first opportunity that he's got, he's made it count in a big way. KL Rahul is in the top 5 in the ICC rankings for T20 batsmen, but then he's having a miserable run purely as an opener. Rohit Sharma has been rested for 2 matches. Shikhar is looking out of sorts. So it's clearly still not very much decided purely in terms of who are the players who are going to open. So it's not only the middle order that looks pretty fluid, it's also the opening position that still looks wide open. It looked almost certain before the start of this particular year that Shikhar and Rohit Sharma would be opening the T20 matches for India. But that doesn't seem to be order for 4 matches down into this particular England series, which is your final preparation or your warm-up for the T20 World Cup. So things are changing purely, not only in terms of the middle order, but purely in terms of the top. But I would seriously consider, if India is going to host this World Cup, Suryakumar Yadav definitely deserves a place, because he's been doing, great service, not only in the national squad, the first opportunity that he got, he's been doing great service for Mumbai. And the last season that Mumbai managed to win the IPL, he had a great role to play. The confidence is up. He's on the wrong side of 20. He's aging and he's at 30. But I think you always got to make the players count. You got to get the players in who are in form. And Suryakumar Yadav seems to be in red hot form. But I would surely go with Suryakumar Yadav.
Right.
Considering the nippiness that he brings even as a fielder there in the middle,
right.
And he's been a part of winning combination. He when you play with Mumbai and you have 5 titles under you are in that habit of winning more regularly.
Right, and right. We are running short of time, so I have to interrupt in between. But thank you so much for joining us and taking us through so much to understand the ODI series. Now, moving on to the other story, PV Sindhu put up an extremely dominant display on Thursday as she moved into the quarterfinals of All England Championships with a straight games win over Denmark's Line Christophersen. Sindhu demolished Dane by 21-8, 21-8 in merely 25 minutes to win her second round match. Christophersen was absolutely no match for the Indian as Sindhu blazed through into the next round. Sindhu will need all her expertise on Friday when she gets a tough test in the last 8 against Japan's Akane Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi got a walkover from her opponent on Thursday and will come fresh to the quarters. Earlier, Lakshya Sen also got a solid second round win over Francis Thomas Roxel to advance to the quarterfinals. He beat the French by 21-18 and 21-17 in 53 minutes. Lakshya will next to be up against Mark Kolishwar from the Netherlands. Liverpool are set to learn their opponents in the Champions League last 8 as the draw for the quarterfinals takes place today. The draw for the last 8 will be held at UEFA headquarters. Any team can be paired against any team as there are no rules in the draw at this stage of the competition. The UEFA Champions League 2020-2021 round of 16 is over with a total of 8 teams booking their progression into the quarterfinals. Defending champions Bayern Munich defeated Italian side Lazio by 6-2 on aggregate to book their progression into the last 8, while 2 European giants in the form of FC Barcelona and Juventus were knocked out of the competition in the last 16. The quarterfinals of the competition will not feature 2 of the biggest superstars in world football, who are Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, as their respective teams are no longer alive in the Champions League, but arguably 2 of the biggest rising talents could potentially face each other in the quarterfinals. Slavia Prague inflicted Rangers' first defeat at Ibrox in just over a year to knock the 9-man Scottish champions out of the Europa League. Peter Oljankan's first half-header gave the Czech champions the lead following a 1-1 draw in Prague, and Nicole Stancher doubled the advantage after Leon Balogun was shown a second yellow. By then, Rangers were already down to 10, Kemar Roof having been sent off within 6 minutes of coming on for catching goalkeeper Ondrej Kolar in the face with his boot. Tottenham were knocked out at the Europa League as a sublime hat-trick from Mislav Orsic completed a remarkable second-leg turnaround of Dynamo Zagreb, leading by 2-0 after a one-sided first encounter in London. 7 days earlier, Spurs paid the price for a desperately poor performance against the Croatian champions. And in shooting, a total of 294 athletes will be seen in action in the tournament at ISSF World Cup that will start from the 20th of March. India will look to bag as many medals as it can, as China is not taking part in the World Cup. A windfall of medals is also in the offing for the Indian contingent as the Shooting World Cup begins at the Dr. Karni Singh shooting range in the capital. India have fielded a strong 57 shooter contingent, which includes 15 Tokyo quota winners. In all, the Delhi World Cup will see 9 team events being added in the rifle pistol category of the World Cup cycle. The events will be tested for the first time. The ISSF had tried skeet and trap team events at the recently concluded Shotgun World Cup in Cairo. And in an unprecedented move, the Director General of Civil Aviation on Tuesday gave the shooting fraternity a shot in the arm by relaxing their rules for carrying guns during domestic travel. As per the guideline issued by the DGCA, shooters can take more than one licensed firearm and more than 50 rounds of cartridges while traveling to participate in a competition or training. And World Athletics has reinstated
A sigh of relief for the Indian sports shooters as new rules for domestic travel came into action. On Tuesday, the Director General of Civil Aviation gave the most favourable gift to the sports shooters. According to the new revised guidelines issued by the DGCA, shooters can take more than one licensed firearm and more than 50 rounds of cartridges while travelling to participate in a competition or for training. Earlier, shooters could not carry more than one rifle and the number of rounds of cartridges were also limited to 50. The decision came after Union Minister of Youth and Sports Kiran Rijiju spoke to the Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri regarding relaxing of rules for shooters. Kiran Rijiju said,
I welcome this extremely supportive and positive move by DGCA. The Indian shooters are doing very well, and in an Olympic year, this ease of travel will help them greatly and motivate them further.
London Games bronze medalist Gagan Narang, who has been travelling for training and competition purpose since past 2 decades, feels the move from DGCA and MYAS will help the shooters focus better on their performance.
I feel this is a landmark decision by the Aviation and the Sports Ministry, and now when I see shooters from various academies travel to train from one place to another, I feel this decision will be a big relief to the fraternity. This looks like a small change, but actually it is a big decision which will impact the sport in a positive way, since they won't need any prior approval from DGCA before traveling. Even for training, it will save them from a lot of distraction ahead of important sessions.
To avail the opportunity, shooter must have documents to establish his or her identity and the ownership of the guns and cartridges, along with a letter from the president or secretary of the club inviting or sponsoring the shooter's training or competition. Sports Desk, DD India.
And World Athletics has reinstated the authorized neutral athlete scheme to allow up to 10 Russians to qualify for this year's Olympic Games if they can meet certain criteria. The organization confirmed on Thursday. For more details, let's have a look at this report.
World Athletics Russia Task Force Chairman Rune Anderson confirmed that a maximum of 10 athletes from the country would now be able to compete under a neutral flag ahead of the European summer season, if Russia's Athletics Federation continues to implement their plan to rebuild trust. Russia's Athletics Federation has been suspended since 2015 after a report commissioned by the World Anti-Doping Agency found evidence of mass doping among track and field athletes. Anderson revealed Russia's Athletics Federation has set certain key performance indicators in their bid to clean up the sports in the country, and a failure to implement these would likely see a blanket ban on athletes once more.
There is a process in place on what might happen if the KPIs, the plan is not being adhered to as expected. The task force will then naturally discuss internally. We will give a recommendation to the council, and of course, it is about the nature of the breach of the KPIs that we have to look into. So this will be a process that we will work with RUSAF, the Reinstatement Commission, to resolve.
World Athletics President Sebastian Coe said he didn't see the need for Tokyo to make a decision on spectator numbers for the Olympics anytime soon, as reports indicated their intention to do so within a week. Coe added that he hoped fans would be allowed to see the games if health circumstances would allow for it. Anderson said late last year he had been given hope that Russia's Athletics Federation would work towards reinstatement to World Athletics after the election of new Federation President Pyotr Ivanov. Russia's Athletics Federation have been implementing the roadmap to reinstatement since 1st March. The process by which Russian athletes had in the past been cleared to compete internationally despite the federation's suspension was halted last March. There were 29 Russian athletes who took part under a neutral flag at the World Championships in Doha in 2019. Sports Desk, DD India.
And in table tennis, India's top 4 table tennis players Archanta, Sharat Kamal, G. Satyan, Sutirth Mukherjee and Manika Batra qualifies for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics at the Asian Olympic Qualification Tournament on Doha. While Satyan and Sutirth Mukherjee sealed their Olympic quota spots with group-topping wins at the tournament, Sharat Kamal and Manika Batra's qualification is based on their higher ranking. They will be confirmed when the rankings are updated in April. And this will be Sharat's 4th Olympic appearance and the 2nd for Batra, whilst G. Satyan and Mukherjee will qualify for their first ever games. Mukherjee, India's 2nd highest ranked female player, beat India number 1 Batra by 4-2 in winner-takes-all clash. Despite her defeat, Batra made the cut as the highest-ranked second-place players in the group. And with just less than 1 week to go until the Tokyo 2020 Olympic torch relay gets underway, here's how you can follow every step of its historic 121-day journey around Japan, right from the Grand Slam start in Fukushima on 25th March to the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Tokyo on 23rd July 2021.
Get underway following a ceremony at National Training Center, J Village in Fukushima on 25th March. And over the following 121 days, the flame will visit all 47 prefectures in Japan. The rally will conclude on 23rd July when the flame will be used to light the Olympic quadrant during the opening ceremony of the Games, Tokyo 2020. On 12 March 2020, Tokyo Olympic flame was lit at the Temple of Hera at the sacred site of ancient Olympia in Greece. The flame was handed over to Japan during a ceremony at Panasonic Stadium, Matsushima Base in Miyagi to greet fanfare on 20 March last year. Following the postponement of the Games, the flame was kept alive at the Olympic Museum in Tokyo and has recently embarked on the tour of Itabe prefectures to mark the 10th year anniversary of the Great East Japan earthquake. You can follow every step of the Olympic Torch Rally via dedicated live streaming as well as enjoy the best highlights and images from across 121 days on the website, whether you live in Japan or anywhere in the world. The entire rally will also be broadcast live on the national television of the Japan, and you can get involved by following the official Tokyo 2020 social media handles and join in the conversation by using the hashtags. The Olympic Torch Rally will visit the most famous sightseeing spots throughout its 121-day journey in Japan, as well as some of the more unique places from across all 47 prefectures, starting in Fukushima and ending in the Tokyo. Sports Desk, DD India.
Solo cyclist Sanjay Bahadur, who pedaled 1,000 km across Assam, was felicitated at Guwahati in the closing ceremony of Hazar Bar Dekho Northeast Dekho, a solo cycling tribute to Northeast and to create awareness on Fit India movement. More in this report. Sanjay Bahadur covered a 1,000 km long solo bicycle journey across the state under the program to make India fit through its Fit India movement. The event concluded today and the closing ceremony was held at the Royal Global University in Guwahati. Sanjay Bahadur, who was on a quest to cover 1,000 km long solo bicycle journey across the state of Assam, started the ride from Lashit Ghat on the banks of the Brahmaputra river to mark the tribute to River Brahmaputra. The event was a unique way to bring forth the untapped beauty of magnificent Northeast.
Fantastic experience, and one could visualize all the states of Tripura, Meghalaya, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram on the south bank, and then turning, visualize Arunachal and further ahead Sikkim. So it was really in the heart of Northeast that I was riding. Fantastic experience, fantastic people all over, and so much warmth and affection that I and my team got. Fantastic experience. I hope people who have been viewing this would now know what Northeast means and how warmly and how nicely the heart beats. Please come to Northeast and keep cycling.
While speaking to DD, he shared his experience in the last 10 days of his journey on a bicycle. Describing the natural beauty of Northeast, Sanjay Bahadur said that it is a beautiful place to visit and also urged the tourists to visit Northeast. He also added that Northeast is an unexplored paradise.
We encourage all of you to do these kind of initiatives and many more other initiatives, but keep promoting the beautiful part of your country, not only to Indians but to the people from all over the world. They must come and see your part of the country.
A sport to support the Northeast tourism is indeed a unique way to create awareness about the fitness and to grab the attention of the tourists towards the region. Organizers have hoped through this type of programs that the Northeast tourism will come in the eyes of national and international arenas. And that's it in this edition of Sports Bulletin, but lots more coming up on the other side, so stay tuned with DD India.